Today we are getting our first chance to ride the 2023 Husky FC350. Hi, I'm Mark Tilley, and welcome to the first installment of Dirtbike Magazine's video series Year 23, where usually we take you up close and personal with all the 250 or 450 motocross models available in the United States as of right now. Today we're doing something a little bit different. This is the 450 edition, but we're going to be talking about the 350 because the 350, if you were going to race it in any kind of class, you would be racing it against 450s. This bike is going to, again, utilize the same chassis as the 250 and the 450 model. You could actually take this 350 engine out of this chassis and put it in a 250 chassis or a 450 chassis. Naturally, you're going to have different hangers and stuff like that, but they will fit in all of the different chassis. This is a brand new 350 engine. The cases are completely different. What Husky did was change the centralizing of the mass. They did it more internally than they did externally with the cases, but it is lots of stuff inside, and the new head configuration was all designed to bring the mass to the center so that there's less rotating mass out there to make the bike handle better. The other thing that not a lot of people know, but we noticed as we were looking at stuff, there is actual casting marks on the cases itself to show you where the drain plugs are. There's little triangles, and there's actual descriptions where there's a screen that you can take out and all kinds of stuff. So just another little thing that Husky did when it comes to kind of streamlining this motorcycle. Just like the factory editions that we saw earlier this year, this bike has everything put in its place. Everything has a place. There's guards in places. There's lots of stuff that you would normally see kind of in the car industry. You're seeing from Husky in the moto industry, and it's a really cool thing. One of the things on the streamlined process that we have noticed, because we have filled this bike up a few times today, we missed the off-centered gas cap of years past. That bike, it made it a little bit easier to fill it up. This one is now centered, and it kind of makes it a little bit harder to see, especially when it gets closer to the top on when you're going to overfill it and stuff like that. But that's just a personal preference for us. Other stuff that we like about this motorcycle, the streamlining fact. If you listen to any of our Rockstar Edition stuff, the contact points on the bike make it really easy. It's all symmetrical. But like we said, everything has its place. So if you want all the in-depth specs on this motorcycle, head over to dirtbikemagazine.com. We're gonna go see how this thing rides. So we just got done with our first day of testing. We had a variety of test riders on the FC350 today, and it's very interesting. We have, you know, maybe the vet rider like myself, and then we have some of the faster, younger pros that were riding the bike today. And even within the pro setup, suspension was all over the board. Some guys want it stiffer if they're more aggressive. They like the stiff feeling of the new chassis. Some guys, such as myself, don't like the stiff, rigid feel, and I'm going softer on my suspension settings, sometimes to a point to where if I over jump something, I'm bottoming out. But I personally would rather have it like that than just bouncing around everywhere. So the suspension settings are gonna be very interesting moving forward with this bike and this chassis. And it's something that we found with not only the 350, but with the 450 factory editions and the Rockstar editions and the 250 Rockstar editions. That's something that jumped out at us right away. The other thing that really jumped out at us is 350 has higher compression. It actually has the highest compression in the 4-stroke line of Huskies, but it has a little bit higher compression. This bike, the 350, is already a popular size engine-wise, but this engine makes really good power. Unless you're racing against other 450s, if you're just out riding with your buddies, going to track days and stuff like that, this 350 makes plenty of power. You might notice it when you're trying to get over a jump right out of a turn or something like that, but other than that, there wasn't anywhere on this track that this 350 size engine didn't have enough power to get over something. We do like the different maps. There's a big difference between map 1 and map 2. It was, again, all over the board on what test riders like today. Some guys like a bigger hit right off bottom. Some guys like it to kind of drag out a little bit and build power. But there is a really big difference in those maps. Traction control on the 350, out here today, it wasn't something that was really beneficial. Certain guys like the quick shift option, and it's basically you can shift under power without using the clutch. You either like it or you don't. Like, there isn't really an in-between with this quick shift option. For me, it's a little bit hard to get used to. I feel like when it's in quick shift mode, there's a little bit of a hesitation. You know, some other guys really like it. Another thing we do want to mention about the chassis and the handling side is for the 2023 production models, Husky returned to the 10mm lowered suspension setup that they had last year. They didn't do it on the Rockstar Edition, but now their 2023 models are doing that. Some of our test riders think that it gives it a little bit more of a planted feel over the KTM. We haven't had a chance to run them back to back yet. Last year's version did give it a more planted feel and kind of made it quicker turning. This year there is some stuff with the new frame and the anti-squat and all that kind of stuff going on. There's a couple things that might be working against it. So we're gonna have to do a lot of testing on that actual setup and then see how that translates into how the KTM might handle a little bit different. Again, this is our first full day of testing. We did have a lot of time on the motorcycle with a lot of different test riders. That was kind of cool. We got a little bit more of a group consensus of how it's going to be. It's going to be very crucial on these new chassis to break the chassis in. You've heard before that, oh, it needs 6 hours or it needs 5 hours or you got to break this in. This is something that is going to be a crucial thing. We do have a lot of time. Travis Fant, actually our video guy, has some time on the KTM Factory Edition 450, and he was mentioning that the bike does have different handling tendencies now that it's got double digits on it. So we're gonna put a lot more time on these bikes, do a lot more testing, maybe try out some WP cone valve stuff and some track shock stuff going on and see if it makes it handle a little bit better, maybe a little bit more rider friendly. Check back to the website for those updates. And if you got a little bit more time on your hands and you want to see some other 2023 model videos, click that video thumbnail now and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of brand new videos that will be coming out over the next few weeks.